Hey guys, a busy day today at NRG Stadium. Let's give you the latest updates and then we'll go through some of the personnel and talk about some of the things the Texans have planned as they get ready for Monday Night Football, the first Monday Night Football game here in years. They take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, Vita Vea, Antoine Winfield, a lot of their good football players coming to town for a tough matchup with the Texans, the defending AFC South champions. And so let's start with today's practice report. So today at practice, no Christian Kirk and no Braxton Berrios. They both have hamstring injuries. If they don't practice tomorrow, I do not expect them to play. I would say at this point it's touch and go whether either will be able to play against the Buccaneers on Monday night. Both are making progress, but remember it was a 1 to 2 week forecast for Kirk and relatively short term, a week, maybe it's 2, for Berrios. So what that means without them, Jalen Noel, primary replacement. You have some other options in the slot. You have Justin Watson. You also have Xavier Hutchinson. So changes there. As we'd said, Jake Andrews, high ankle sprain, and he isn't just day-to-day. He's a little bit, more than that, but no injured reserve. That is the good news for for Jake Andrews. So Jarrett Patterson is the replacement as the new center one. So he will be snapping again to CJ Stroud. They do have a good chemistry. They have worked well together in the past. And Jarrett's a very intelligent technician-style blocker. And as I once said to a friend of mine, Landry Locker, I said, he's an adult. He's a grown-up. He gets it. He understands it. He's a Notre Dame guy. He's very smart. Okay, so then a positive development for the Texans. This might allow them to go back to an alignment that they'd hoped for. Ed Ingram is got, I would say, trending. Good chance that he gets back if he doesn't have any setbacks. So we'll be, tracking that all the way up until Monday Night Football here at NRG. And Ed had an abdomen injury. I've talked to Ed. He's going to try to play. We'll see if he can go. If he can, they can move Titus Howard back to right tackle. Then you have Ariante Ursery slide back to left tackle, where he had prepared to play the majority of the preseason. That puts Cam Robinson coming off the bench, and then left guard still is Laken Tomlinson. So then you just have one line change, which would constitute the center position. So obviously, as I reported before, with tight end Harrison Bryant going up to the 53, signing a 1-year contract and an additional $500,000 in incentives. So they do that. They still have the ability to elevate Luke Lachey or Jakob Johnson to help the tight end depth, and fullback, of course, too. And then, I would say, in terms of center depth, Juice Scruggs makes a lot of sense as the backup center now with Andrews injured. So he's kind of next man up in the interior. City Sow from the practice squad, potential elevation, start a lot of games for the Patriots. So keep an eye on that. And, I'll stick with offense because we've been talking mostly offense. Obviously, Nico Collins, targets need to go up. I'll be posting a video with Andre Johnson from the Dick's Sporting Goods event that I went to. Asked him some questions about some of the look that you can do to overcome all the attention you get as the number one wide receiver. And so some of that is, body language, nonverbal type of stuff that can be between the quarterback, CJ Stroud, and Nico Collins. Things that Andre used to do with Matt Schaub back in the good days, the Gary Kubiak era here, a successful one in Texans football history. So not counting on Kirk, not counting on Berrios. So what that means is other receivers need to step up in addition to Nico Collins, as well as tight end Dalton Schultz with Cade Stover, who led the team with 4 catches against the Rams in a defensive battle that they lost. So Jaden Higgins, need more from him. Need more plays like Xavier Hutchinson's 23-yard catch. Got to spread the football around a little bit, and then they got to start getting involved with Jalen Noel. They didn't really do much with him. Or Justin Watson this first game. I can tell you what I think they're going to do offensively. I think they're going to increase the targets for Nico Collins, and they're going to up the carries. I think they were testing, is Nick Chubb ready? It's his first game, all of those things. Now that he passed that test, I think these carries go up. And I think people like play fantasy football, maybe draft Nick Chubb. I think that's going to go up, up, up. Arion Tertiary, he knows he's got to play better. We haven't had a chance to talk to him, but he was the lowest graded rookie lineman. He kind of laid an egg in that first game. I know he can play better football than that. It was not necessarily representative of the kind of player he is, but that wasn't a good look. 5 pressures, 1 sack, bull rushed on that sack by Byron Young. Has to get better. Titus Howard was actually the highest graded guy, and I think he'd be either best lineman as a guard or a tackle. So obviously, the line, a work in progress. British Brooks was inactive last game. We'll see if that stays the same or if they switch things up. Blake Fisher is full participation with a right ankle he sprained. And then good news on Derek Stingley Jr., not on the injury report. So that's good news to not have Derek Stingley. He said it, he's a man of his word. He's honest. He said, I'm okay. And he is. He's okay. Damian Pierce is going to play better. Looked like he had some rust. Daryl Gamale cannot fumble the football. That was rough.
Yeah, it's great. Me and Slime.
Did you say Slime?
Yeah, I can't say that. I'm going to get fined. Yeah. Me and J-Pat have done a good job early on in our careers of finding a good relationship on calls, on really just everything, like snaps. He does a good job, getting the guys around get them going. So I thought, when he stepped in, he did a good job. Of course, with him is Jake, and he was doing a really good job too. So just try to do as best I can whatever I have. It sucks I have a lot of experience with backup singers, and which is not fortunate all the time. But at the same time, I love J-Pat. He's a great player. He's going to be great for us.
What's the?
You don't just go out there and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But most of the time, you don't go out there and just ace it. So there's a communication that you have to have. I think he does a good job of asking me a lot of questions. I ask him a lot of questions, so figure it out and move on.
Did you have?
Yeah, it's great. Me and Slime.
Did you say Slime?
Yeah, I can't say that. I'm gonna get fined. Yeah. Me and J-Pat have done a good job early on in our careers of finding a good relationship on calls, on really just everything, like snaps. He does a good job, getting the guys around get them going. So I thought, when he stepped in, he did a good job. Of course, with him is Jake, and he was doing a really good job too. So just try to do as best I can whatever I have. It sucks I have a lot of experience with backup singers, and which is not fortunate all the time. But at the same time, I love J-Pat. He's a great player. He's going to be great for us.
What's the?
You don't just go out there and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But most of the time, you don't go out there and just ace it. So there's a communication that you have to have. I think he does a good job of asking me a lot of questions. I ask him a lot of questions, so figure it out and move on.
Did you have?
Game, did you feel like more even encouraged that there's some more fixable things that you guys could take a step forward from that game?
Yeah, we looked at the things and it's on the top of our mind and fix things, but there's a lot of good we did too. So you don't want to just look down at the floor and feel bad for yourselves. You got to move on and flush it and not take it light, but also not act like it's the end of the world. So it's a little bit of mixture of both. But I thought we've done a good job of dealing with that, and I thought we had a good practice today. So much where everybody thinks you suck and whatever they want to think, cool. Y'all go ahead and do that. We're gonna continue to grind. If we lay an egg again, we're gonna get back up. We're gonna trust each other. It really doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. So it takes time to build. We've been watching. Sorry, I know I'm long-winded, but watching a lot of film of New England back when they were in 2002, 2003, 2004. They didn't. Now, of course, they won, but they didn't look like what they did in their strong run right away. And of course, that's the goal, to get it as quick as possible. But sometimes it's not the reality. So I'm trying my best to keep our guys mojo up. I think we're doing a good job. Much where everybody thinks you suck and whatever they want to think, cool. Y'all go ahead and do that. We're gonna continue to grind. If we lay an egg again, we're gonna get back up. We're gonna trust each other. It really doesn't matter what everybody else thinks. So it takes time to build. We've been watching. Sorry, I know I'm long-winded, but watching a lot of film of New England back when they were in 2002, 2003, 2004. They didn't. Now, of course, they won, but they didn't look like what they did in their strong run right away. And of course, that's the goal, to get it as quick as possible. But sometimes it's not the reality. So I'm trying my best to keep our guys mojo up. I think we're doing a good job.
Let's do a lot of the people that tune into this channel and that I interact with on social media, etc. They want to see more. I thought Will Anderson Jr. had a really good football game. I was impressed with Will's ability to finish, make plays. Danielle Hunter usually does start the season a little bit slowly, and I expect him to get better and better. Henry To'oTo'o was sticking guys. I like what I'm seeing from Henry. Henry is a hitman out there, and it makes sense that he's playing more than Christian Harris and EJ Speed. I know everybody wants to live in the past. What's happening right now is To'oTo'o is out there like a human heat-seeking missile, sticking guys. Got to stick with the hot hand. I don't think you necessarily change the snaps up that much unless you want to use the 4-3 linebacker alignment. Okay. It makes me also wonder about alignments. Are they going to use the 12 personnel much now? Are they going to go just plug in Bryant? We're going to see if that's still the way they start football games. I thought that communication was not great in the secondary. That guys looked in the backfield too much. They can play better football than that. And there's got to be good teamwork between these guys. You've added C.J. Gardner-Johnson, so he's got to fit in with the rest of the group. It's got to be good performance by him in terms of understanding the defense, working well in tandem with these other guys. With Derek Stingley Jr., everyone I think kind of felt like with the Devontae Adams game, maybe he was hampered a little bit from the early hip injury or hip pain that he dealt with. It's not on the injury report. So then with Kamari Lassiter, Kalen Bullock, I think the guys got caught looking a little bit. They go with that touchdown. They got to be better in the red zone, and that was the point that D'Amico Ryans made. We're going to go through a little bit about D'Amico and CJ, some of the highlights of their respective press conferences. I will bring that to you in a moment. Off the bench, I still think you need to see more from Derek Barnett and Darrell Taylor. I saw Foley Fodikasi. Obviously, he made an impact with a sack, and we think that there's going to be more to come in terms of the specialists. Obviously, Kaimi Fairbairn off to a good start, 3 field goals. That's impressive. So, I think in many ways they're off to an okay start in some areas. In other areas, it still needs to improve. And we're going to improve these shadows. I've got Shadow of the Sun, good Audio Slave song from the movie Collateral. I told you guys, I am a movie buff. Like the Tom Cruise movies, Jamie Foxx, that was a good one. That was Michael Mann. Reminded me a lot of the movie Heat, which is a classic with Al Pacino, Hua, and Robert De Niro. I watch a lot of Jay Moore impressions of Al Pacino. He does it much better than I can, so I'll leave that to the great Jay Moore. So, like I said before, I think some elevations could include Jakob Johnson. I could see City Sau being up. We'll see how they go with that. Luke Lachey. So you get about 3 obvious candidates there for elevation. All right, so let's go over a little bit of kind of what was said, some of the conversations here today. And one of my conversations was Titus Howard. I'll bring that to you as well. But so let's talk about these Buccaneers and what they're facing. That was my first question. First question of the day, me and D'Amico Ryans talking about the defensive front of the Buccaneers, a excellent football team, especially Vita Vea, 6'4", 346 pounds. Some bad news there over the center. So Jared Patterson needs some help from whoever's playing guard, Ed Ingram, Laken Tomlinson. Someone's got to help him out, or Titus Howard. They have Hassan Reddick, good edge rusher. They have Yaya Dabe, good player, lots of good players. They're physical, they're athletic, they can shoot some gaps. They're pretty tough. Interesting comment from D'Amico Ryans about Joe Mixon. And he says, we're rolling with the guys that are here. They miss Joe, miss his energy, his enthusiasm, everything he brought to our team, in quotes. But we continue to press forward. I hope he's doing well. Wow. A lot to interpret with that. I'll interpret it based on the information I have. I am not counting on seeing Joe Mixon anytime soon. I will not be surprised if Joe Mixon does not play football this season. I won't be surprised if Joe Mixon in the offseason, if they move on. None of that would surprise me. Just not hearing anything like he's on the verge of return. So until that changes, until we have new information, I am not counting on Joe Mixon. I had someone just text me, actually a sports agent asked me if he should draft Joe Mixon. I said no, I could not recommend that. Couldn't honestly recommend. They do have a matchup with Emeka Egbuka. Remember, a lot of you guys liked him. I liked him in the draft process, and he was outstanding in the first game in the win over the Falcons. Very explosive, catches the ball really well, threat at all levels, and he had a couple of touchdowns. So, very explosive, very fast, can move across the formations. Someone they'll have to account for. They had some issues with Buccaneers. They can move Mike Evans to the slot. Egbuka is more of an outside receiver. The penalty issue. Got to cut down the penalties. 11 penalties, way too many. Better fundamentals, needed. It's got to get better. They got to clean this up. Baker Mayfield, tough matchup. Quarterback that can escape the pocket. D'Amico Ryans called him gutsy. I agree with that. Very tough guy, very competitive football player. Good arm, good at everything. Antoine Winfield, he's back. High playmaker, someone that's smart, versatile, very trusted by Todd Bowles, the Buccaneers coach. So they're going to employ him in a lot of different ways. And, Nick Caley comments. So D'Amico weighs in on Nick Caley. Feels like he did a good job with play calls. Not everybody agrees with that. That's okay. They were also, as he noted accurately, behind the sticks a lot, shot themselves on the foot. Lots of second and longs, third and longs. Not the great place to be in. First-time play caller, first game. Needs to get better. So that's some of the things. D'Amico defended the offensive line. I don't necessarily totally disagree with that. There were some pressures, but it wasn't like 8 sacks, 14 hits kind of pressure. You could read in between the lines, see some improvement. So for CJ Stroud, and he thinks they need to kind of flush this first game, move on from it, and not act like it's the end of the world. I agree with that. He also had a great game against the Buccaneers a couple years ago, set some rookie records, and he's not getting caught up in what people are saying about the team. I do think, like I mentioned before, he will have good chemistry with Jarrett Patterson. The collaboration with Nick Caley gets better and better, and I think it's getting there. They, he says they'll figure it out. But they're blocking some noise. It feels like he's not trying to get caught up too much in people loving him when he's up or hating him when he's down. And he calls this an entertainment business. He's right, it is an entertainment business. I'm here to entertain and inform. He's here to entertain you with his play. He had a funny line about, get better to get punched in the mouth early and not fall and hopefully not be too hurt. He's trying to think like a boxer. So he gave a shout out to Terrence Crawford, which is a big Terrence Crawford. Canelo Alvarez, he thinks Crawford's going to win. We'll see. See what you guys think. Drop it in the comments. Crawford or Canelo Alvarez. We'll see what happens. So he said that people not necessarily give everybody a bunch of grace, but he likes to do that. And he says that they're all going to trust each other. And he says he felt like he's being a little long-winded, but I think CJ is very introspective, someone that thinks about things very much and is a deep thinker. Really deep thinker. That's appreciated. He says he's been watching some old New England tape, 2002, 2003, 2004. And I covered those games, and he was thinking about how they looked early in their run. And sometimes that's not the reality. You got to get there. But he said the same thing as D'Amico, kind of echoed the fact that they need to help Nick Caley out. They've got to not have 2nd and 15, 2nd and 25, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 12. He says they've had this problem for years. They do the coaching staff a disservice, and I agree with him. Did do a good job of using his legs to escape pressure, moved well in the pocket. I thought his scrambling was good. He mentioned some of the other guys that scramble well, mentioning Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, how they run the football. But overall, lots of guys do it well. He wants to be one of those guys that can do that well, do it all. Get out of the pocket and keep your eyes down the field. Scan the field. See what you're doing. Keep your eyes down the field, make a play. Instincts. Play instinctually. Trust your training. Trust your habits, CJ says. Trust your fundamentals, and the moments become easier. Saying all the right things, handling this and compartmentalizing it all the right way. And I think as far as personnel, we kind of know where we're at with receiver. Those guys have to play better. They need to run the ball more. And they've got to protect. And they've got to block Vita Vea. They do all those things, they'll have a chance. They'll be in this game. They had a chance to win the last game. And I think maybe if it was at NRG, maybe they win it. They didn't play quite well enough. They didn't get that done. Maybe they can get that done against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to win some games. There's going to be some tough moments too, but overall the Texans have some reasons to be mildly encouraged. And so we'll see where it all falls. And we have a lot more coverage obviously coming. There will be practice on Friday, practice on Saturday, day off Sunday, then Monday Night Football here in NRG. I'm here in the lobby of NRG Stadium. And of course on Monday night, it'll be filled up with lots of people with the foam fingers and their outfits, and I'll be dressed for business, and you can always count on that from me. If it's a football game, we'll wear a suit. Like Daniil Hunter said, number one rule for business, if you want to be professional, wear a suit. You can't afford Daniil's wardrobe. I think he pays like nearly $4,000 a suit. That's a couple months rent from me. We don't live in the same financial stratosphere. I appreciate you guys watching the channel, some of the people that tuned into the chat and that contributed. That was amazing, great questions. Appreciate all the super chat folks and people that leave some of the tip jar. Very nice of you, appreciate that. I'm excited, we'll have more coverage, lots coming at www.click2houston.com. KPRC2 with Randy McElvoy and Nick Mantis, and of course, on Twitter and X, Aaron Wilson _NFL, and Instagram, Aaron Wilson 7128. But most of all, for you guys, check me out here at Aaron Wilson Sport on YouTube. Nearly at 16,500 subscribers, looking to get to the 17,000 mark. Would love to be there by Monday Night Football, by kickoff. Let's do it. After that, let's get to 18, let's get to 19, let's get to 20. Let's be a 20,000 channel. And it's not just my channel, it's your channel. So tell your friends, tell your family, get people to join. It is free, and watching is free. Sometimes you gotta watch an ad or two. It's not that bad. It's just like watching television. You gotta watch some ads when you watch TV. Some of those ads can give you some pretty cool goods and services, some helpful things. So yeah, please check it out. Anybody that's interested in getting involved, not hard to find. DM's open if you want to talk about sponsorships and things like that. So yeah, I think we're getting close to the point where we're ready for things like that, and have some involvement with some trusted brands that I'm excited about and want to interact with. And if I won't just work with anybody. Obviously, I'm going to be picky about who I would align myself with. But guys, excited. Thank you again. Appreciate you tuning in. I encourage you to watch the practice video. There's some good clips there that I put together, all shot by me. Do my best. Hopefully those are good videos and you guys like it. And then of course there's shorts. There's a lot going on, a lot of good things with the channel. Who knows, maybe we'll have another chat before Monday Night Football. Until next time, guys, yeah, please tune in, watch, like, subscribe to this channel. Like I said, just a reminder, when I'm asking you to subscribe, I'm not asking you for any money. I'm asking you to spend your time and to click that button. Guys, thanks so much. Talk to you soon, and we'll do this again tomorrow. Thanks, bye. To the Buccaneers front, not just Vea, but Reddick and some of the other personnel they have. What do you see from these guys collectively?
The Bucs are a really good team. Starting up with their front, Vita Vea is the guy that gets everything going. Adding Reddick on the outside, a really good group. Diaby, ton of great players, guys who can get after you in the running game, also in the passing game. Not only physical players, athletic guys who can swim gaps. They do a really good job with their stunts on the interior. So tough job again up front, but that's every week in the NFL. So we have our work cut out for us. And his enthusiasm and everything that he brought to our team, but we continue to press forward. Hope he's doing well.
Domingo.
It's always a special game because you're the only show on. Well, it used to be. Now we got double headers, so it definitely changes a little bit. But Monday is always special. The entire league is watching. Your peers are watching as they're preparing for their next week. So that's always at the back of your mind. Baker's doing a really nice job. The thing that sets him apart when I've seen him grow as a quarterback is how he escapes the pocket, right? Whether that's keeping his eyes downfield to find open receivers or just scrambling to get the first down. He does a really great job. He's gutsy. He has everything you want in a quarterback, tough guy. he scrambles to make plays, run and pass. So you just have to play together, and that's what we preach all the time. It's the rush, staying after it, playing together, and our guys in coverage. We have to make sure we're plastering and staying in coverage, covering the guys twice, but because we know he can escape from anywhere. Good job, right? With the play calls, at the end of the day, we all have to just put ourselves in position where we can actually call the game, right? We're behind the sticks a lot, shot ourselves in the foot a lot, where we were in second and long, and it's third and long a lot. That's not a great place to be as the first time play calling your first game. So we can play well together and stay on schedule, stay on track, then we can see how the game is called. We've never not been together. We're together. We're ready to go play on Monday night. That's what it's about for us.
Close it out, sorry.